If you've attended a health class in the United States, you're more than likely familiar with the 2004 documentary Super Size Me. It followed the director and protagonist Morgan Spurlock's attempt to reproduce an average American's diet by eating only McDonald's for an entire month. It wasn't a very good experiment. Interspersed throughout his journey, though, were genuinely informative tangents analyzing the US's increasing obesity epidemic. And as you may have guessed by its continued classroom presence, it was a massive cultural success. McDonald's diet aside, it called attention to many legitimate problems within the food industry. Though the film has continued to be discussed for decades, Spurlock shied away from producing a sequel until 2017, 13 years after the first. Titled Super Size Me 2, Holy Chicken! It never came out. The film was said to have reignited his battle against the food industry at full force, though unlike the first film, he'd be approaching with a behind-the-register perspective. Yes, only a year prior he had started up his own fast food restaurant called Holy Chicken, hence the subtitle. His idea was to walk viewers through the decisions he had to make leading up to the restaurant's debut. The film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 9th, placing second runner-up for the People's Choice Award for documentaries. It received mixed reviews. Only a few days after its screening, YouTube began negotiating with the film's production company in hopes of purchasing the rights to the film. On September 22nd, only 13 days after the film's premiere, YouTube announced that they had acquired the distribution rights in what could be their most ambitious festival buy ever. They paid in upwards around $3.5 million for the film to be released exclusive on YouTube Red after its theater run. Spurlock was quoted as being ecstatic. But things would not turn out well for Spurlock. Oh no. See, a month after the film had been sold, the hashtag #MeToo campaign began. A movement that was started to highlight the frequency of sexual assault by encouraging victims to speak out. It helped expose the abusive dynamics of industries, such as Hollywood. Springing up alongside this movement were sister hashtags of men vowing to change and admitting to their mistakes. Though this practice was criticized for bringing the conversation back to men. While Spurlock didn't explicitly use one of these hashtags, on December 14th he released a lengthy Twitter post that heavily resembled the latter's messaging. In Morgan's confession, he reveals an incident in college in which he unintentionally committed date rape. He also details a sexual harassment allegation he had settled years prior. He then admits to infidelity, concluding that he was part of the problem. A day after posting the statement, Morgan stepped down from the Warrior Poets, Super Size Me 2's production company. Shortly after, YouTube announced they would not be distributing the documentary on YouTube Red. The film was subsequently pulled from the Sundance Film Festival by the Warrior Poets. Since his mea culpa, Spurlock has gone quiet on social media. He has been in the news recently for escaping a lawsuit from Turner Entertainment Networks regarding the release of his confession. Turner claimed that his post breached their contract with the Warrior Poets. Turns out, Spurlock's confession created such a fallout that the Warrior Poets began facing serious internal problems. The lawsuit alleges that, as a result, they were unable to return funds that they had received to produce Who Rules the World, a multi-part series about the issues women faced in the workplace. It seems that, ironically enough, Morgan's attempt to come clean only prevented women from sharing their stories.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
So, the film seems dead in the water. Another film never to be released, all leaks aside. So we propose this channel's age-old question. What exactly was the film about? As mentioned before, the film was to continue Spurlock's battle with the food industry. But why did he hone in on chicken specifically?
If you look at the first film, and there was a very specific reason why I picked McDonald's. They served and fed more people around the world every single day than the entire population of Spain. So we went after the biggest one, and this one is the same thing. Like, the whole reason I picked chicken sandwiches and we picked chicken as our focus is it is the most farmed animal on the planet. 20 billion chickens a year.
So, in true Spurlock fashion, he decided that the best way to demonstrate this to viewers was to once again act as a tour guide, leading viewers through the manipulation that plagued the industry. He chose a fast food restaurant specifically because it was the most popular way to eat chicken. While him starting up his own restaurant may seem hypocritical at first, especially because he later insinuated that the chain may continue after the film, his goal wasn't to stop people from eating chicken entirely. It was to educate consumers about how it was marketed and grown, so they can make a decision more in line with their own values. He also argued that the success of the chain could mean an opportunity for smaller farmers who treated their livestock humanely. This philosophy is reflected throughout the restaurant's interior and packaging, which are covered with blurbs of text informing customers about the industry's manipulation. For example, this bag, which reads,
"We are committed to using 100% raw brown paper bags because studies have shown that these simple bags make customers more likely to believe that fast food is healthy."
Because other popular fast food chains weren't upfront about their tactics, Spurlock figured he could get an edge by raising the chicken himself. His ploy was to trick customers into thinking that they were visiting a healthier alternative, only to then be bombarded with overwhelming transparency. After consulting with the CCD Innovation, he learned that although grilled chicken was much healthier than fried chicken, customers picked fried 90% of the time. So he attempted to create a chicken patty that was both grilled and fried, allowing him to subvert the word fried from his marketing. Yes, the wording was key. One recurring trend throughout the film was Spurlock discovering that many of the terms companies plastered on their products' packaging were meaningless. Like 100% natural or minimally processed. It banks off of consumer ignorance. He is also able to advertise his chickens as being cage-free, when it has never been the industry standard to use cages. And no, the conditions for the animals haven't improved either, in case the empty terminology they invented didn't tip you off. Factory farm chickens have been bred to become twice the size they were in the 1950s. They get fat so fast that their feathers, legs, and hearts can't even keep up. Ever since the release of the first Super Size Me, fast food corporations have been attempting to rebrand themselves to seem more healthy. They replace terms like fried with crispy, as they recognize the former has developed a negative connotation. Spurlock attributes all of this to the industry idea of a health halo. This is creation of an aura that the products are good for you. From smaller things like terminology changes to more elaborate shifts like aesthetic changes, they've been able to make customers feel better eating the same product. This health halo was invented by the main antagonists of the film, Big Chicken, a nickname Morgan coined for the 5 largest mega corporations currently dominating the chicken industry. They provide roughly 99.9% of the chickens eaten in the United States and exercise an almost mafia-like collusion. By far the most important revelation in this film is how horribly they mistreat their farmers. Farmers who sign contracts with these corporations are subjected to a competitive ranking system that pits them against their own neighbors. It's a contest to see who can grow the fattest chickens for the least amount of money. Oftentimes, companies will incapacitate farmers with handicaps such as sick hatchlings, stale feed, or female chickens. Being at the bottom of this arbitrary system means that the farmer will get docked around $5,000 a flock. This will typically cause a chain reaction. As the farmer falls further and further into debt, they'll be stuck in a system in a position that they compare to an indentured servant. As Jada Wan from The Vulture wrote, "It's hard to stay objective as Spurlock interviews these salt-of-the-earth men as they weep and talk about being indentured servants, millions of dollars in debt, with no way out but to keep producing chickens in hopes of climbing back up the ranks." Throughout the film, Spurlock raises his chickens with the help of third-generation farmer Jonathan Buttram. As a result for cooperating in the documentary, Buttram was blacklisted from the industry and stopped receiving hatchlings. He was unable to compete and fell into debt. He wasn't even able to switch to a different corporation because of the collusion. And that right there is the true tragedy. Buttram and many of the other farmers who appeared in the film sacrificed their careers. And it wasn't because they're just selfless like that. They're currently pursuing a legal battle against Big Chicken for its monopoly-like control of the industry. They argue that the aforementioned ranking system is anti-competitive. The participation in the film was done in hopes that the film would shine a spotlight on the case. Obviously, because the distribution fell apart, Buttram saw none of the benefits and currently only faces the consequences. It's been said in recent news articles that Spurlock has reacquired the rights to the film after YouTube canned its release. But as of the time we're writing this, there are no known plans to release it. Currently, the only material to surface from the film are its posters, some stills from the animators that Spurlock had commissioned, and a song that the band AJR produced for the film. We hope the film doesn't stay lost media for much longer. It seems too important of a message to disappear forever. But only time will tell its fate.